In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. In order that all sentient beings may attain Buddhahood, from my heart I take refuge in the three jewels. Whatever the virtues of the many fields of knowledge, all are steps on the path of omniscience. May these arise in the clear mirror of intellect. O Manjushri, please accomplish this. Good evening. Good to see everyone. Here we are, the die-hard few, making it to the very end of this book. This amazing book. So, we are on freedom from elaborations. So, I won't really elaborate on that further. But it begins on 456. Okay. And right, these are about high-level states of being, right? So we're just finger painting, just like pointing the way. The yoga of freedom from elaborations. It's a yoga. Has three parts, starting with the divisions of freedom from elaborations. The meaning of freedom from elaborations. This yoga is called freedom from elaborations because the abiding state of mind is like space, free from the elaborations of arising, abiding, and ceasing, permanence and annihilation, going and coming, and so on. It's the abiding state of mind. Very innocent term, which is used frequently in this text, isn't it? And indicates like the true nature of mind, right? As is stated in the fundamental treatise of the Middle Way by Nagarjuna, Mulabhinyamaka Karika, there is no cessation or origination, no annihilation, no permanence or permanence, no coming or going, no discreteness or sameness. Elaborations are pacified and there is peace. No discreteness or sameness, no difference, no identicalness or whatever. Some assert that the absence of the conceptual elaborations of percepts and perceivers is the meaning of freedom from elaborations, having no conceptual elaborations of the duality of perceiver and perceived. Others state that certainty and the recognition that all phenomena are empty is the meaning of freedom from elaborations. So the first one is sort of talking about the subjective experience, and the second one about the objective experience. Both are wrong. If the former were the case, mere non-conceptual samadhi would be free from elaborations. If the latter were correct, even fixations involving certainty about emptiness and the lack of reality would be freedom from elaborations. It is therefore taught that during freedom from elaborations, the nature of mind is realized. And it is explained that the nature of mind is an unconditioned phenomena, which, like space, does not move or change. So that phrase, like space, indicates that space is an unconditioned phenomena. So I don't know if I totally agree with that, but maybe maybe like which space-like does not move or change. Because space is not a phenomena. It's not even an unconditioned phenomena. But the true nature of mind is an unconditioned phenomena. It's not that many unconditioned phenomena if you look up your chart of phenomena. There's lots of conditioned ones, but not that many unconditioned ones. It's said in the sutras. So this is a famous quote, 1451. Where is it attributed to the play in full? So, the play in full. What a funny name for a text, right? See the footnote, play in full. Play in full is in Sanskrit the Lalita Vistra by Arya Shura. It's a biography of the Buddha Shakyamuni. Talks about his discovery of enlightenment. But there are references to this, like pretty much verbatim, this statement in the early sutras. I just came across an article by Bhikkhu Bodhi where he talks about this, a cool article called Dance or Cessation. I thought that was really neat. I'll circulate that if you're interested. Anyway, the famous quote is profound, peaceful, free from elaborations, luminous, and unconditioned. And the original one is something like, because I have found or I have discovered or have seen or experienced this state, this unconditioned state. The highest continuum by Maitreya remarks the luminous nature of mind is unchanging, like space. This yoga of freedom from elaborations has three levels, like they all do. Lesser freedom from elaborations is when you have realized that the essence of mind is free from the elaborations of arising and ceasing, but you are not yet free from experiences in which you have the certainty that grasps that freedom from elaborations as emptiness, which is a sort of a funny phrase, because like to use the word grasping, you would think that that's like the activity of a deluded mind, but so maybe comprehends or understands. And that grasps, and she there's in brackets, so the translator has freedom from elaborations, that grasps that state as emptiness. Whereas I thought it was the abiding nature of mind. But anyway, you also have hopes and fears, the fear that you want or samsara, and the hope that you will attain nirvana. So that's the main indication, is that while you understand the emptiness of the mind, you still have hope and fear, right? Intermediate freedom from elaborations is when your experiences of grasping mind as appearances or as emptiness have been purified, and you realize that mind itself has no ground, that it is free from a root. So, when your experiences of grasping mind as appearances or emptiness sounds like sort of the normal deluded activity of a sentient being, right? But so those have all been purified. That grasping quality of fixating on experience as being this or that. Nevertheless, you still cling to your hopes and fears in relation to the appearances of external objects. And then greater freedom from elaborations is when, having been liberated from holding on to the certainty that grasps the external and internal phenomena of samsara and nirvana as empty, you are free from hopes and fears and have severed all misinterpretations. Robert.
I have a question. Is this grasping perhaps referring to kind of bring an experience home? You know, like it, you know, to concept, to be able to express it conceptually.
I think, well, it seems to be a positive experience, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
grasps,
true.
understands.
Right, but the grasping part I think is sort of like, well, how do I, how do I explain this to myself?
Yeah, apprehend,
Yeah.
something like that. Comprehend. But it's funny they use the word grasp.
Well, I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not a positive experience. This is a
Well, it's
negative
not a
experience.
positive.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So is when having been liberated from holding on to the certainty that grasps the external and internal phenomena of. So the certainty is grasping it, but liberated from holding on to the certainty.
Is it like confusion is purified? Like like you grasp it, but then
Well, it
it
seems like
doesn't come
there's
up.
there's two parts. There's like the understanding, which
Mm.
which is the opposite of confusion, confusion having been purified, and then there's also the sort of feeling tone, the emotional tone of being beyond hopes and fears. It seems.
Being beyond it or in the intermediate.
Oh
The
well, I thought we were
being.
on the greater, but
Oh, okay. I was back at the
so yeah, in the greater one, you were free from hopes and fears and have severed all misinterpretations. But it seems like the certainty that grasps that all phenomena are empty is a necessary stage to go through. And then the next stage is sort of releasing that as um, a conclusion, some sort of end all or end in itself, maybe. So then determining, how do you determine whether you've experienced, whether it's perfected or not? One, 6 reasons. Seeing the essence of mind. Did he give these reasons? Yeah, he gave 6 reasons. Same thing for one pointedness. Seeing the essence of mind to be free from elaborations is to be liberated from holding on to that certainty. When having severed the root of someone experiencing freedom from elaborations, when having severed the root of someone experiencing freedom from elaborations, a state in which all elaborations have been purified continues smoothly. You have seen the essence of freedom from elaborations. Why wouldn't he have said, when someone has severed the root of experiencing freedom from elaborations? Anyway, you have seen the essence then of freedom from elaborations, since grasping at emptiness or having certainty are experiences of freedom from elaborations. If you have any trace of those, you have not seen its essence. If you still have like dualistic experiences in that way, I guess. When you have no hopes or fears, and not even a bit of grasping at emptiness, which is like a Milarepa song, right? No hope, no fears. And you have eliminated all misinterpretations about everything being free from elaborations. You have achieved mastery of freedom from elaborations. If you recognize the nature of thoughts as unborn, but still have hopes and fears in relation to appearing objects, and have not purified the experiences of grasping emptiness, you have not achieved mastery of freedom from elaborations. So the hopes and fears remains the turning point. When having recognized all thoughts to be empty movements, and all appearances to be empty appearances, your post-meditative mental state and appearances manifest like your realizations during meditative equipoise. Thoughts have arisen as meditation. If If you are unable to incorporate your realizations during meditative equipoise into the path right with your post-meditative mind and appearances, thoughts have not arisen as meditation.
So Derek, real
Yeah,
quick, um, that that phrase is repeated a lot, so I just thought it might be good to
yeah, let's
make
go
sure I
through that.
understand what it thought. So by thoughts, the way I interpreted it is when thoughts arise as meditation, it means you're not bothered by thoughts. You let them come and go, and you're not trying to say, no, that can't be part of my. I don't know. That's how I interpreted it, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, yeah. What about others? Yeah, this is a both important and commonly stated phrase. When thoughts have arisen or not arisen as meditation.
They're no longer foreign to the practice. That they're just sort of embedded there, like everything else.
Anyone else? Thoughts have not arisen as meditation, implying that at some point thoughts do arise as meditation. So I was thinking maybe there's two parts to it. The first part of like is the shamatha part that Lori mentioned of like you're totally not moved by thoughts. Like it's not like thoughts distract you from something else. And then the other part maybe is the like a vipassana part where you're continuously seeing the essence of thoughts as the same as mind or and sort of empty luminosity.
Yeah, I would say that second one seems to make most sense because of the first part of the sentence, which is talking about the ability to incorporate realizations. That does seem to point more to the Vipassana
Yeah,
description that you just provided.
having recognized all thoughts to be empty movements and all appearances to be empty appearances. So continuously experiencing, recognizing all of mind's activity as empty luminosity.
Including in the post-meditative state.
Right.
Or,
Right. Where normally for most of us meditation is like a dramatically different state of being, right? It's like we go into another world realm. I'm kidding a little bit.
where do you go?
What happens to you when you meditate? This whole idea of meditative equipoise as being like something dramatically different is really intriguing, isn't it? It's like that's a very advanced meditation where like you totally experience empty luminosity and then like you come out of it and then it's like, oh, back way, it's like a journey, right? I think for probably most of us, I don't know, I want to project, but for myself, it's certainly not that dramatically different. Right? But clearly, at some point, that shifts, and equipoise is like a dramatically different experience. And then it's a matter of blending the two together, blending the post meditation into the what you experience in equipoise. When, number 4, when through encountering the path conditions for awakening excellent qualities, such as those associated with the path of methods. So encountering the path conditions for awakening excellent qualities. The path of methods, so like skillful means, cultivating or accumulating merit. You connect the signs of accomplishment with realization. That's a strange phrase. What does that mean? You connect the signs of accomplishment with realization. You connect them. You understand them as realization. you realize their significance. I don't know. It's an odd phrase. You have developed the excellent qualities of freedom from elaboration, the qualities, despite having realized the nature of dharmata. If, due to not encountering the path conditions, you lack the appearing qualities of the signs of accomplishment, you've not developed these excellent qualities. I think he's talking about like cultivating the bodhisattva aspect of the path in terms of like accumulating the store of merit. When, since emptiness arises as causes and results, and the essence of mind does not exist as anything, you feel confident with interdependent connections that conditions can transform into anything. You feel confident with interdependent connections that conditions can transform into anything. That's an odd phrase too. You feel confident that interdependent, I wonder what the word connections is. Anyway, you have proficiency with the conventional, so understanding interdependent arising, basically, I guess. If being obscured by the ignorance that is confused about causes and their results, you do not understand the interdependent connections between causes and results. You do not have this proficiency with the conventional.
Now, can I?
Yeah.
So this is another one that gets repeated in the others too, and so
Which one? The proficiency with the conventional? Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And I just wondered with this one, the conventional, is he talking about relative reality?
definitely. Yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
you have a clear, you understand relative reality and how it works with causes and results. And so
yeah,
you're
yeah,
able to have that understanding because you got to have that.
yeah. Definitely have to have the proficiency. In my mind, it seems to indicate a little more than just understanding. It seems to indicate like you have both the understanding and the experience of it, or something like how to work with
Yes.
interdependent arising,
Yes.
something like that.
Yes.
Are we back to dealing with hopes and fears a little bit here, and maybe not taking things personally?
I think beyond hopes and fears, though. No,
Yeah, well, that's what proficiency with the relative is, isn't it? It's
I
like,
think so. Yeah,
it's a more of a magnanimity situation, it's
seeing the larger picture
yeah,
and a steadiness.
yeah, and a way to maybe even leverage situations for a greater good.
Yeah, how to work with the phenomenal world, sort of thing.
So, why does it say, since emptiness arises as causes and results,
Mm.
and then and? Why does it say that?
Well, it's sort of like percept is causes and results, and perceiver is the mind. The and it's sort of like the objectification of those two has dissolved to the point where percepts are simply causes and results, and the perceiver is the mind. But this idea of emptiness arises as causes and results. Emptiness and interdependence being
That that
synonymous.
that explains it actually when you look at that as the percepts.
So
Yeah,
causes and results is taking the place of appearances here.
right. Yeah, which was the term used in the earlier sections. No, Lori? Causes and results. So yeah, we're on the bottom of 458.
So okay, I thought that was a separate. This is a separate point, but just about what causes and results are different. You know, appearances are empty, now causes and results are empty, but maybe it is a progression. I didn't think that. I think so we can see. I mean, maybe,
Yeah,
but
yeah, we
no,
can see how
for
it
me,
fleshes out
yeah,
going forward, but
yeah.
causes and results are like how appearances operate, how appearances function. But let's see if
Just
how he
wonder
uses it for you.
when it talks about, um, I mean, like you can look at anything and see um, how in any moment causes and results, but it doesn't really explain why there is anything. And so I thought it's saying how there isn't anything. So that's
Yeah, emptiness
it. And is it
appears as
maybe it's the next one where it seems like it's actually talking about you're comfortable with there being things and not being things.
oh. Well, let's go
And
through that
because
and
it
then
gets
come
into
back
the
to that.
the six consciousnesses, but that's not what this is.
Let's do the next one and consider them both. So 6 on the 459 top. When with the unceasing expressive power of emptiness. That's an interesting phrase. The unceasing expressive power of emptiness. Emptiness is unceasingly manifesting,
which is the
arising.
third of the three aspects of nature of mind, right?
Yes, yeah, ceaselessly manifesting ceaselessly. Arising as non-referential compassion, which is great compassion. So emptiness arising as non-referential compassion. Interesting. In your post-meditative mind, you know how to establish the illusion-like interdependent connections of arousing bodhicitta, aspiration prayers, and so on. You have planted the seeds of the Rupakaya. So in other words, this is a further continuation of the whole way of cultivating the field of merit, or the collection of merit, in a way that's transcendent, or like a paramita that transcends self and leads to the Rupakaya of a Buddha.
What is Rupakaya?
The Rupakaya is the form body of an enlightened being, and there's generally two types, Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya.
They're both Rupakaya.
Rupakaya form kaya, Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya. The form kaya has two aspects. So there's Dharmakaya,
Mhm.
is a formless kaya, and then there's the form kaya, which is either Sambhogakaya or Nirmanakaya. So Rupakaya is shorthand for Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya, taken as a group. So there just seemed to be like a progression among these six from sort of understanding the nature of mind as emptiness to then blending that into one's experience of the relative and transforming the relative into the cultivation of the collection of merit. If you have realized emptiness but find it difficult to arouse compassion and do not establish the interdependent connections for benefiting others, you have not planted the seeds of the Rupakayas. Back to Tonglen, back to the
Hey,
four
Derek, is this
major
is this
modes.
to say that
when you're referring to um, accumulation of merit, is that kind of equal to benefiting others in bodhisattva activity in this case?
It is,
What?
yeah. Those are the two main types of, or two main ways of characterizing the accumulation of merit.
Brings to
So,
mind the Heart Sutra. They abide by
Interesting.
they abide by means of prajna paramita.
Where do you see that here?
Where he's saying in the illusion like interdependent connections of arousing bodhicitta, aspiration prayers, and so on. You've planted the seeds of rubakayas. If you've realized emptiness but find it difficult to arouse compassion, right? That's not abiding in prajnaparamita.
Well, yeah, that's not. But Prajnaparamita, like in the Heart Sutra, that statement doesn't necessarily bring compassion to me or compassionate activity to me.
To me, that's exactly what it means. It, 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 it's compassion in action because it's the six virtues all going together at once. Where do they go if there's no object of compassion?
Well, it's also
There's no
isn't.
going nor coming.
Yeah, but we're dealing with the relative plane the whole time.
Not in the Heart Sutra. We're going to the we're
No,
realizing.
outside of, I mean, just in general, we are.
Yeah, we are. Yes. Yeah.
But in a sense, yeah, I think if you look at the two different aspects of accumulation, prajna paramita is really on the wisdom side, and the other paramitas are actually the more associated with the skillful means side.
Eric. Yeah. Thank you,
Yeah.
Cynthia.
Well, I can't remember whether it's the Heart Sutra or the Diamond Sutra where somebody says, if you actually if you have to actually realize that there aren't actually sentient beings to assist in order to assist them. It seems to remind me of that. Like you have to have this general view of emptiness before you can actually operate as if things were actually going on.
Right. The threefold purity. Yeah. And in the Diamond Sutra and in other Prajnaparamita sutras, the Buddha has this wonderful way of saying, beings are no beings. When you realize that beings are no beings, then you can work with beings.
yeah. And then going back to this 5, this you feel confident with interdependent connections that conditions can transform into anything. So it's like if you can see the emptiness in all of it, then it could get moved around in some other way. It's not stuck.
Yeah,
Or
that's
in
what
terms of
Robert, I think,
working
was
with
getting
other
at.
people,
Once you
you know,
understand emptiness properly, then it manifests. Everything then manifests as
right,
bodhisattva
and you can
activity.
actually benefit somebody because they're not stuck either, right? So
They think they are.
they think they are.
Right.
Right.
So
But
you
if you
can help
can
them.
see that,
Yeah. Okay, we nailed that one, right? The way experiences arise during lesser freedom from elaborations, even though the essence of each and every phenomena is free from the elaborations of arising, abiding, and ceasing, you hold on to the notion that everything is empty. Ooh, how silly. In your post-meditative mental state, your perceptions of friends and enemies, attachments and aversions seem solid. Your sleep and dreams are mostly confused, and you have many highs and lows in your spiritual practice. Sometimes you feel faith and confidence in your gurus, fellow practitioners, and your own spiritual practice, and at other times it's possible that doubts arise. I'm not sure how this differs from like all of us, but okay. I guess he's saying that still continues even in lesser. During intermediate, those experiences of grasping at emptiness are purified and your fixations are minimal. Having severed the roots of thoughts, you have eliminated your misinterpretations in relation to movements. That's a funny phrase. In relation to the movements of mind or something. But you still have some solidified hopes and fears with, or in relation to, with appearances. Your post-meditative mental states and dreams are varied, both diluted and undiluted. You continue to have some highs and lows, such as having faith or doubts in your gurus, fellow practitioners, and your spiritual practice. Sometimes you may even think there is no Buddhahood to be attained, no hells in which to be born. Ooh. Gurus, plural, interesting. During greater freedom from elaborations, having cut through the root of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, you eliminate misinterpretations about everything external and internal, and are without hopes and fears, feeling no pleasure or pain about such things as whether all phenomena are empty or not empty. You evenly maintain a spacious mind, feeling no pleasure or pain about such things as whether all phenomena are empty or not. You evenly maintain a spacious mind, a space-like mind. Appearances manifest as empty without any self-entity. Your post-meditative mind is not necessarily only a vibrant, lucid mind in which all thoughts have been purified, yet you have continuous meditation throughout the entire day with excellent experiences of awareness, emptiness, appearance, emptiness. Nevertheless, since your mindfulness is not necessarily unbroken, you still need to rely on some degree of applied mindfulness. You may have some delusion and grasping during your dreams. Sometimes you may think, there is no Buddhahood to be attained, no hells in which to be born. And I have realized the abiding state. What a funny phrase. There's no Buddhahood to be attained and no hells. And then, continuing from there, saying, I have realized the abiding state. There is no Buddha to attain. Seems like a little bit of a non sequitur. You understand even deeply profound Dharma. Mind itself arises as your guru. Appearances become aids for your spiritual practice as opposed to obstructions or obstacles. You have few fixations on anything and your mind turns away from the 8 worldly values. However, it is thought that at this point there is the danger of thinking you do not need a guru, becoming proud and arrogant, having disdain for others, and the like. Dangerous thoughts. So the method for sustaining those levels, those experiences, something, during the 3 levels, okay, so those levels of freedom from elaborations, cast off the 3 attachments. What are the 3 attachments? Is that in our glossary of
It
enumerations?
is. I actually looked it up. It's yourself, your possessions, but I forget the third one.
Attachment to one's sense of self, attachment to possessions, and attachment to samadhi.
Figures I would forget that one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my samadhi. Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of that's interesting because if you're in constant samadhi all the time, that's a little tricky.
Are you speaking for yourself here?
Well, I'm just thinking, how do you how I mean, I guess I mean if it, I mean, it feels good, right? You're not going to lie to yourself, you know. I guess, but I guess there's a kind of an attachment non-attachment game that needs sort of a jujitsu that has to happen.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I love your sound effects. That was very cool.
Um, ask something.
Yeah,
Um, so becoming proud and arrogant, having disdain for others and the like. So I was wondering if that was a word, and it is, but it doesn't really fit here. I don't think I put it in the chat,
that's so, what a great catch. I couldn't even see what you were getting at. Did everyone see the chat?
but
It's
that
got to be a typo, right?
yeah, because disdain would really with the D
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
what they mean, not. But actually, this is a pretty good word that they should use somewhere else. Discolor, like it just sort of fits
disdain,
with some of the other, type of word,
disdain,
disdain.
a certain type of staining.
Yeah, like they when they like removing the layers of
Yeah,
uh, stain.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
blank.
Good catch. That's got to be a typo, right?
What should it
I,
be?
it's a minor thing. I don't.
Say again, Sue.
Well, what should it be? And then
Disdain.
what it would disdain be?
Uh, looking down upon others
Oh,
as better than.
that's disdain.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think we found any other typos. I think we found like repetitions of the word the, a few, but okay. Thank you for that, Barbara. Anyway, methods for sustaining. During the three levels of freedom from elaborations, cast off the three attachments, which are attachment to self, possessions, and samadhi, and sealing yourself into retreat. Sealing. It is explained that other than offering a few tormos and supplications to your gurus, you will not enjoy many different kinds of spiritual practices involving characteristics. It is important to put those aside for a time. Hold the light touch of applied mindfulness and sustain the essence of freedom from elaborations without distraction or clinging. Sounds like that phase of practice where you don't do much. From time to time, you should create conditional virtue, such as that which comes from making offerings or being generous. From time to time, cultivate devotion, pure perception, and compassion, and contemplate the interdependent connections between causes and their results. Discuss the profound Dharma with your gurus and fellow practitioners with realization. Read and sing the Vajra songs of the lineage of Siddhas. If you start to feel somewhat unhappy that you want to travel or eat something special, who's he talking about here? Or begin to despair, you should do some form of the blazing and dripping meditations of the path of meditation, of method. Dripping and blazing and dripping. This sounds like Halloween or some sort of like horror movie, right? Blazing and dripping meditations. Very messy, right? It's talking about Chandali, right? Practice the supreme Chandali or do some physical exercises. Interesting, like the blazing and dripping meditations of the path of method seems to be separate from the practicing the supreme Chandali. I thought those were the same. Or do some physical exercises. There you go. Run around the block, go running. Once the realization of greater freedom from elaborations has developed, if you do not make further progress despite cultivating that for years, again, you must must give up the 3 attachments, receive abhishekas, confess any impaired or broken vows, and so forth. Supplicate your guru that your realization advances. Meditate upon yourself as the yidam, and contemplate the sufferings of the hells. Determine those to be mind, and rest evenly in freedom from elaborations. Similarly, contemplate the pleasures of the gods and rest in freedom from elaborations. Reflect. This is if you can't make further progress, rest in it. Rest in that which you can't make progress in. Reflect upon the way things are in samsara and rest in freedom from elaborations. Consider the state of affairs of nirvana and rest in freedom from elaborations. Sometimes go to the top of a mountain and relax in freedom from elaborations. Other times go somewhere with many people and let go within freedom from elaborations. We should all do that, right? Get together and let go from within freedom from elaborations. Retain cycles of breath. Gaze vacantly. I like that one. Gaze vacantly. That's what I say when people complain that I'm spaced out. No, I'm practicing gazing vacantly. It's very high level practice here. And relax in freedom from elaborations. Those are all explained as ways to enhance realization. It's interesting, this thing about receive abhishekas. In the last one, I think, in one point in this, didn't he say, receive the abhisheka of samadhi? The samadhi abhisheka. I forgot to ask Elizabeth about that. Furthermore, it is said that you should intensify your awareness. How do you intensify your awareness? Drink a lot of coffee.
I'm glad you asked that.
Jump up and down. Yell. Shout. Pot. Really loud.
I
Exercise.
I actually wondered whenever I see any phrase like that, I think of the Ken McLeod book that you
Yeah.
talked
Yeah.
about, the ecstatic
Ecstatic energy, whatever it is. Yeah.
energy. Yeah, doing something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Somehow intensifying awareness. Connecting with
Mama
the
Shenpin, she
yeah.
said, stay wake.
Yeah. Yeah. Yell at yourself. Say pot. Tibetans often will say pot. Pot, pot, pot. Lots of times. Slap yourself on the face. Splash water on your face. Scare yourself or have somebody scare you, right? Intensify your awareness. Mix that with various appearances. That's equal parts intensified awareness and appearances. Mixing those together well in a blender. And meditate on freedom from elaborations. As the exalted Gampopa explains during the yoga of freedom from elaborations, it is important not to remain indifferent. Intensify your awareness. That's a very interesting phrase. Not to remain indifferent. I thought there was this sense of blending post-meditation and meditation and all interdependent arisings with emptiness, but don't remain indifferent, okay?
Well, isn't there, I mean, it's not exactly the same, but like in the Four Foundations, when they talk about that ardency thing,
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it seems like it's getting to that energetic quality, right?
yeah, yeah. Focus on that energetic quality. Yeah, that third quality. Excellent, yeah. However, it's important to find ways for yourself that work for yourself, right? For some it's physical activity, for some it's maybe contemplating death, maybe think about the guru, the exalted, or getting fresh air, you know.
Well, also, I mean, going back to that idea of not solidifying things um, in the emptiness, so that you could still care about things
Yeah,
continually,
you could read the news and generate compassion.
or the news of, even anything you're looking at, the news of um, whatever you see,
Yeah,
whoever you
the
meet,
floor, the news of the
the
floor.
floor, the news of the floor, the sky, the breeze, the rain, your porridge.
The exalted Sanghagyari also teaches this. Once you reach the time of freedom from elaborations, it's time. Mix with dualistic phenomena and meditate. That's interesting. Additionally, the exalted Yang Gunpa instructs, do not lose fresh, undistracted mindfulness. We encountered this before in the Sustaining Mahamudra chapter, the idea of freshness and undistracted. Fresh was like uncontrived, I believe. Don't meditate and don't fabricate the abiding state. Do not make statements about inconceivable awareness, not distorting awareness with analysis. Give it free rein. There will come a time when the mother and child of meditation, free from elaborations, will meet. That's such a cool phrase. There will come a time when mother and child will meet. What an interesting
I,
phrase.
I have a question. So, going back up where it said to cultivate devotion, pure perception, compassion, and it seems like all of these things about relating, um, not to be indifferent, all of those. And so, could you just say something more about pure perception, like in terms of um, how you're seeing?
Yeah, what an interesting phrase, right? Pure perception. So, are people familiar with Trungpa Rinpoche's translation of that term? What was his
Is
translation?
that sacred world?
Sacred world, yeah, seen sacred world. And so, what does that mean? Seen sacred world, pure perception. Does that mean like seeing everything as empty? Rob?
My understanding is it's without conceptual elaboration, just pure experience of you know, the object or objects or your environment.
Well, then how does that differ? Like, why make that phrase pure perception?
Well, because that's sort of what you're engaged with is whatever your perception is whatever. I mean, if it's a visual field or if it's a if it's music,
Mm, mm.
you're not
Or emotions. You're
or
experiencing an emotional situation.
yeah, you're not thinking through it. You're just experiencing it. You're allowing that to become sort of a cathedral of sorts.
That's a neat idea. La Sangria de Familia. Mirabeth, you're muted.
Is that
There.
is that like an idea about that everything is workable?
That's part of it, right?
Yeah.
But like it's like extrapolating that out. Everything is workable means
I mean that everything it has an opportunity where you could like have a good outcome somehow. That there's always that possibility of of
but
a
but like take that forward like to the like culmination of the path where we are, because that could be interpreted as a way of looking at like a very beginner level of like dealing with neurosis and stuff, right? Or so what would that mean at a more exalted level?
that our mind is workable somehow. That's I don't think that's what
Yeah.
you're. I don't think that's
Yeah,
what you're thinking, but
yeah.
I mean that I'm not
Sacred
at the
world.
end, so I'm just
Right. Somebody look up sacred worlds. Like, Google it. Can we? Is that or AI?
While you're doing that, I just noticed that these four things to cultivate all seem a little bit to be related to not exactly out and not exactly in, but kind of like where those kind of come together. Devotion, pure perception, compassion, and then contemplate interdependent conditions. So it's like a fresh way to see everybody and everything without all the elaborations that are normally.
Freshness is part of it, right? What does freshness mean?
Uh,
Debbie.
Well, I went to volume 3 for Sacred
Cool.
Rural,
All right.
but it's actually in the glossary. It's under Sacred Outlook, Tibetan Tag Nang Dog Song Pure Appearance. But then the meaning is provided as pure perception, the awareness that all phenomena are sacred, the perception of self-existing sacredness, which leads to the experience of unconditional freedom.
did you say all perception? That all phenomena? What did you say?
The
Leads to the perception
The
that,
perception. So, okay.
Debbie,
self-existing. So the perception of self-existing sacredness, which leads to the experience of unconditional freedom.
cool. Cynthia, would you get in the famous Shambhala's Sacred Path of the Warrior book?
Right. I'm trying to find some concise
Mm,
part. But I guess you could say, let's see, the sacred world is that which exists spontaneously, naturally in the phenomenal world. Um, when you have gold, that gold can be formed into different shapes, both beautiful and grotesque, but it still remains 24 karat gold. So I think that notion that there is not, the sort of beyond good and bad quality, it's all essentially of the same essential nature. Um, it says the idea of sacred world is that although you see the confusion and problems that fill the world, you also see that phenomenal existence is constantly influenced by the vision of obviously Great Eastern Sun primordial quality.
obviously.
I, I'm sorry, I put in the obvious. Um, recognizing that, vast and primordial wisdom, which is reflected throughout phenomena. Um,
It's hard to capture, isn't it?
in
This
it's
idea.
hard to get it really boiled down. Yeah, but um, yeah, let's see. Oh, and then the experience of sacred world begins to show how you are woven together with the richness and brilliance of the phenomenal world. You are a natural part of that world. So that's the other aspect, is that it's not separate. I suppose.
And
So
so,
So
what
there's a
does all
quality.
that have to do with freedom from elaboration
That's exactly what I was about.
stage?
That's exactly what I was about to say. It seems like we're coming right back to freedom from elaboration with sacred world,
Yeah, yeah.
because
Pure perception.
it all fits together seamlessly.
I was going to say something like seeing a phenomenal world as the manifestation of the guru, which you also like is like a cryptic phrase. It's like, what does that mean?
I mean, you could say it's what is the guru? A manifestation of awake, right?
Yeah, yeah. So seeing the phenomenal world as the manifestation of wakefulness. sacred wakefulness. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Isn't
Okay.
it, I mean, I guess the other tricky thing with that particular sacred word is that I think it's sort of in the same way that basic goodness is sort of beyond good and bad, that sacred world is also kind of beyond sacred and profane, right?
Right. Right. It's not like everything becomes, hunky dory. It's like even horrible things become of the nature of wakefulness.
Everything becomes possible.
Isn't everything already possible?
Yeah, but if it weren't, then it wouldn't be sacred anymore.
I mean, I think it's even as literal as dog shit is part of sacred world, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Does a dog have sacred world? Does the dog have Buddha nature?
Moo
Of course.
or woof for that matter.
Okay, well we've beaten that one to a pulp, so
Okay, so
it's not evidently clear. It's a range of interpretation, a range of ways of explaining that, and it has to do with intensifying experience, intensifying awareness by like not slipping into the dullness of ordinariness of like experiencing the humdrum of life, but like constantly on the edge of freshness. Again, I'm like using these words, these like odd phrases, but ideally they are provoking some sense of heightened awareness and appreciation and like connection with everything. Yes, ma'am.
so I'm just going to go back for a second to
Don't go back.
please. I'm going to go back to what's the first one called? The first yoga. So the first
One.
yoga is the emptiness, and then now you're looking out and seeing sacred world. I mean, just in a simple. I keep trying to simplify it because it's helpful. Then you have like a basic place to hang things on. But
See, so the first one is one-pointedness. So how about simplifying that into like seeing things in as one point?
it's one point. Empty though. It's your mind, right?
Well, that's more the second one, right? Freedom from elaborations is seeing the emptiness of
The
mind.
abiding state is when undistracted mindfulness of the abiding state of mind is one pointed. And there's one pointed awareness in which stillness and movement are mixed. That's one pointed. Anyways, it seems like it's about the
It's
nature
very
of
pointy.
mind. Pointed nature of mind. And this is not pointed.
Well, everything is mind.
Yeah. The first one still has duality.
Doesn't this have duality until the next one?
I think we're
Yeah, the
beyond.
next one is where we get rid of duality.
I think we're getting rid of duality already with freedom from elaboration.
Oh dear.
I think both are true. It's little by little. Each step is like a little more shedding of.
Well, let's see when we get there. We'll talk. So let's continue. The exalted Yongunpa instructs, do not lose freshness, do not lose fresh, undistracted mindfulness. Don't meditate and don't fabricate the abiding state. Do not make statements about inconceivable awareness. Oops. Not distorting awareness with analysis. Give it free rein. There will come a time when we did this when the mother and child meditation, free from elaborations, will meet. That's such a cool phrase. Those instructions mean that you should intensify applied mindfulness and neither lose or be distracted from the essence of freedom from elaborations. Since its abiding state can't be fabricated, don't newly meditate on anything else. Without analyzing awareness, which is indescribable, inconceivable, and inexpressible, sustain it as free-flowing. What's the difference between indescribable and inexpressible? By practicing in that way, at some point, without preventing or promoting the phenomena of samsara and nirvana in any way, as elaborations or freedom from elaborations, as empty or not empty, as something to abandon or something to adopt, whatever appears will, without compartmentalization or corruption, manifest as the yoga of one taste, the essence of Mahamudra. I guess that's the entree into the next one, subtle little transition. The yoga of one taste has 3 sections, starting with the divisions of one taste. The meaning, actually starting with the meaning of one taste. In the general presentations, one taste is explained as being that all phenomena, which includes samsara and nirvana, all appearances and possibilities, are of one taste, emptiness, dharmata. The great Brahman Saraha teaches the realization that all varieties of phenomena are of one taste and emptiness is aroused by the genuine gurus themselves. The Shawara says, in the same way all rivers, the Ganges and others, become of one taste in the salty ocean. Know that all analyzing minds and mental events are of one taste in the Dharmadhatu. However, in this context, the meaning of one taste is as follows. It's an interesting transition. However, in this context, the meaning of one taste is as follows. This yoga is called one taste because the many dualistic phenomena in all their various permutations, such as appearances and non-appearances, are one taste, the essence of unification. As exalted Padmadrupa says, the various appearances and non-appearances. What are these non-appearances? They don't... Mind and emptiness, being empty and not empty, are of one taste, indivisible emptiness. Realization and no realization are of one taste. There's no meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment. Meditation and no meditation are of one taste, a sphere of purity. Elaborations and freedom from elaborations are of one taste, the Dharmadhatu. Okay, the exalted Zong teaches in a similar way. That line is a little, not sure where that goes. Some say that, like the one taste of the general presentations, that's an interesting phrase, the one taste of the general presentations, as opposed to like in this context of the progression of Mahamudra Yoga union. One taste in this context means that the essence of all phenomena is of one taste, emptiness. That is wrong. If that were the case, that type of yoga would be the yoga of one taste. That's an odd one. However, if that is said, intermediate freedom from elaborations would also have to be said to be the yoga of one taste, because the same criteria applies to both, because you're realizing that the essence of all phenomena is of one taste, emptiness, which happens in many stages of the path, right? Furthermore, during freedom from elaborations, all phenomena are realized to be empty. There is no realization of unification, since it is explained that we are comfortable with the empty component and slightly uncomfortable with the appearance component. It is taught that once true one taste is realized, appearances are not compartmentalized or corrupted. The unification of appearances and emptiness arises. Therefore, the correct meaning of one taste in this context is that the many dualistic phenomena are of one taste, unification. So, as opposed to the realization that all phenomena are empty arisings, which happens at many stages of the path, here the psychological, so to speak, experience that one has is one taste, that there's a continuity of one's inner relationship with whatever one experiences. This yoga one taste has 3 levels. Lesser one taste is when, despite having realized that all dualistic phenomena, such as samsara and nirvana, just as examples, are of one taste in being of the essence of Mahamudra, unification. You have an experience of that and the entanglements of the certainty, grasping that. So you have an experience of the sameness of all of reality as being empty appearance, and the entanglements of the certainty, grasping that. I guess that's why it's lesser, as you still have some sort of confusion around that, I guess. Intermediate one taste is when holding on to certainty about the experience of the many as being one taste is purified. Purified of holding, I guess. Appearances of perceived objects are not put aside as something external, and the mind perceiving those is not set apart as internal. The inseparability of appearances and mind is clearly evident, is completely evident. Greater one taste is when, through realizing the many to be of one taste, and that realization of one taste arising as the appearances of many, all possible appearances are pacified in the intrinsic state of equality.
So first we gain certainty in the view, and then we let go of our certainty.
Yeah, holding on to that certainty, as a grasping, like the certainty, as opposed to just experiencing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
That's the same thing with our samadhi.
Yeah, that's right. You have to
And
release it,
then
liberate it.
same thing with post-meditation.
Sort of comes full circle. It all becomes one taste. But in the sutra system, the comparison of these yogas to the sutra system is that non-elaboration is the path of seeing, where you see, where you realize emptiness. You realize the true nature of reality is empty, of all reality. And then the yoga of one taste spans the path of familiarization, the 4th path, where you blend together the equipoise and post-meditative experiences. And the further characterization of those two is that the path of seeing is a letting go of caused or brought about by an understanding, by eliminating ignorance, by seeing, by giving rise to wisdom that sees the empty nature of all of reality. And the methodology of the path of familiarization is a wearing out of habitual pattern. It's not a further not a further stage really of wisdom, but mostly it's an overcoming of the habitual patterns of the kleshas in regard to phenomena. So one has completely uprooted the belief in phenomena, but you still have all these habitual patterns in relation to them that fundamentally boil down to subtle dualism. subtle dualistic conception, which is the last.
You wind down that whole million-year project you've been involved with.
Yeah, the 3 countless aeons. Okay. Determining whether one taste has been perfected or not, in case you're wondering for yourself if you've perfected one taste. When, one, without blocking or encouraging anything, rejecting or adopting, you recognize that whatever appears is the intrinsic state of equality, reflexive clarity without an object. You have seen the essence of one taste. If you have any sense of something to be mixed with equality and an experience of mixing, and any holding on to certainty, you have not seen the essence of one taste. So I think in this section and the next one, any confusions we might have are basically due to the combination of the inability of language to accurately describe these experiences combined with our own lack of familiarity with these levels of experience. When all appearances manifest as a natural expression of that intrinsic state of equality, you have achieved mastery of one taste. If, because you're not free from being entangled with remedies that prevent or promote, one taste does not arise as the many, you have not achieved mastery of one taste. 3. When having purified your perception of objects and perceiving subjects, such as appearances and mind, as being dualistic appearances, you are fine with whatever arises, with no fears about being bound by what manifests to the 6 modes of consciousness, or hopes for liberating those. Thoughts have arisen as meditation. If what manifests to the 6 modes of consciousness requires the mindfulness of recognition for attainment or liberation, thoughts have not arisen as meditation. When, through truly mixing your body, appearances, and mind, you achieve miraculous powers, such as emanating and transforming, you have developed the excellent qualities of one taste. If, even though you have developed the realization of one taste, the signs of accomplishment fail to emerge because the path conditions for awakening excellent qualities are weak, you have not developed these excellent qualities. 5. Emptiness arises as causes and results. When, through realizing clearly the interdependent connections between causes and their results, you yawn and recognize the manifestations of instantaneous awareness to be the dividing line between samsara and nirvana, you have proficiency with the conventional. If, because you have not cleared away the ignorance that is confused about causes and their results, emptiness does not arise as the causes and results of multiplicity, you do not have this proficiency with the conventional. I mean, the language gets very complicated, right? It's like the causes and results of multiplicity. It's an interesting phrase. When, because emptiness arises
But
as...
wasn't that a lot like on page 458, the number
It's similar,
4?
but it's evolved.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it slightly moves up.
Yeah.
All of these are like these subtle little evolutions, each of these points.
Yeah.
So you could map like each of the 1s and the 2s and be neat to see how they change.
Mm.
Like a spiral staircase.
Right. Yeah, with 6 steps
And
on
then
each level.
also, the one other question about 5 is it says, and the results, emptiness does not, wait, there was one about it arises. The next one, because emptiness arises as compassion, but then I thought we got past arising and abiding and ceasing. So how can anything arise?
Yeah, I had the same comment about this phrase, emptiness arises as causes and results. I'm not fond of that. I would say something like emptiness manifests as causes and results. But either way,
That any different? Isn't that just a
well,
semantic?
arising implies that there was a beginning and a middle and an end. Whereas manifesting has more of a sense of continuity. But I don't know, for them, I mean, they're using this over and over, this phrase. They seem to be fine with it. With emptiness arising. I've never been happy with saying that emptiness arises, because that's giving the quality of functionality to something that does not, I think, have the ability to have any qualities, such as functionality in particular. Not that it's dysfunctional, but
Right, it's just ontologically that way.
yeah. Yeah, so it's an odd phrase. Um, I guess it's more like, these are more like experiential phrases, and I would say he's probably intentionally left behind a sort of madhyamaka um,
Purity.
way of speaking, right? Because emptiness arises as compassion, another arising. All pervasive compassion arises effortlessly. So here, like, compassion is an experience of a being, right? As opposed to like causes and conditions and phenomena. Generally, compassion is seen as a quality of a sentient being or a Buddha. We wouldn't, um, I don't, would you say that emptiness is a quality? Um, Anyway, all pervasive compassion arises effortlessly, and you have opened a treasure chest of benefiting others. You have planted the seeds of the Rupakayas, the treasure chests of benefiting others. There's a lot of treasure in that chest, boy. If because the expressive power of your realization, I like that phrase, the expressive power of your realization fails to manifest as compassion, the method aspect, such as compassion, is weak and you cannot benefit others, you have not planted the seeds of the Rupakayas. B. The way experiences arise during lesser one taste, although you have realized everything to be of the essence of the intrinsic state, you have experiences of that and hold on to your certainty. God forbid. In the context of your post-meditative mental state, spiritual practice may not always be easy when what appear to the six modes of consciousnesses are agitated by intense objects or situations. Although free percepts and perceivers may manifest to some degree as solidified appearances, and their latent tendencies may cause some delusion and grasping in dreams. Sometimes you experience your body, appearances, and mind as inseparable. It is also said that it is possible that your attention to causes and their effects and your devotion and compassion decline. So that's during lesser. During intermediate one taste, you are liberated from the dualistic perception of an object of realization and a realizer, an object of experience and an experiencer. You cut through the root of taking appearances and mind to be dual. Your post-meditative mind and dreams are less diluted than before, and perceptions of solidity do not arise very much. It is said that you may have the ability to benefit or harm external beings, to be trained. Still have the ability to harm them. During greater one taste throughout the day and night, there is the realization that the myriad appearances of the unimpeded expressive power of intrinsic equality are non-dual, free from reification. That's quite a sentence. Since meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment have fully mixed, there is a continuously flowing yoga union. Manifestations of non-conceptuality arise as brief experiences of just clarity, appearances without ascertainment. That's an interesting phrase. Manifestations of non-conceptuality arise as brief experiences of just clarity. Manifestations of non-conceptuality as just clarity, i.e., appearances without ascertainment, like without apprehension, conceptually or mentally. For the post-meditative mind, appearances that do not involve grasping are illusion-like clarity, emptiness. Sometimes there are subtle dualistic appearances that involve alertness of that clarity, emptiness. Your dreams may arise freely but indistinctly, and at other times you don't have any dreams. At this point, subtle, supercognitive abilities develop. It is taught that you may receive prophecies from Yidam deities and Dakinis, and that your jealousy has finally been eradicated. I would have thought that had departed a while ago, but okay. Jealousy. C. The methods for sustaining those 3 levels. During the 3 levels of one taste, you should mostly practice in isolation, though sometimes also be in the company of others. The way to enhance your realization is, for the most part, the same as it was during greater freedom from elaborations. Although it may seem that there is no difference between meditating and not meditating, being mindful or not, it is crucial that you remain in isolation and with true mindfulness sustain the essence of realization without distraction. During lesser and intermediate one taste, it is possible that you may look down upon the aspects of method, adopting or rejecting causes and results, devotion, pure perception, compassion, and so forth. Therefore, you should cultivate those energetically. It is important to set up excellent interdependent connections, avoid everything morally wrong, and correctly engage in adopting what is virtuous and rejecting negative actions, as the exalted Gomsol instructs. Although you have realized the state of non-duality, please do not neglect virtuous things. Even though you have realized the state of non-meditation, please do not forsake service to your guru as method. Although your conduct is not to adopt or reject, please do not create evil situations for others. Even though the result is without hopes or fears, please do not let your mental afflictions run free. If you realize greater one taste but are unable to bring about benefit or harm, and the signs, such as supercognitive abilities or the prophecies of Dakinis, do not arise, you have either impaired your samaya or have been affected by the contaminations of others. You must make strong confessions and intensify your commitment to refrain from further impairments. Now make 1,000 satsa or more. So satsas are little clay stupa-like images that contain the relics of the enlightened ones, like little amounts of the ground and relics of enlightened beings. And offer a flower to each, along with the supplication, may my contaminations be pacified. You should also do other types of virtue and dharani rituals that dispel contaminations. Dharani rituals being like recitation of long mantras, specific mantras specific to certain situations. Once the marks and signs develop, i.e., your hands and feet are webbed and they have dharma wheels on them. Just kidding. If you become smug or feel pleased or displeased, you have been infected by maras. Reflect that everything, be it creating benefit, inflicting harm, or Mars, is your own mind, and that like space, mind has no center or edge. Again, when one taste arises, you won't fear thoughts or take pleasure in good qualities, and problems will be unable to bring you down. Later, if you have strong jealousy, many mental afflictions, coarse thoughts, sharp pains, pleasure and displeasure, since your mind has been infected by Mars, recognize that and concentrate on your spiritual practice. Recognize that everything that does not accord with meditation is a Mara. Thus it is said. The exalted Gampopa teaches that the realization of one taste is to be intensified. Here we have that phrase again. During the yoga of the one taste of the many, it is imperative that you do not mix that with an object of understanding or abstract image, that you experience it internally. I guess don't conceptualize it, try to explain it or frame it or put a structure around it. The exalted Sanghagara explains that we should make vast aspiration prayers for the benefit of others and set up excellent interdependent connections. And so this vast aspiration prayers is a reference to the 8th Bhumi Bodhisattva level of paramita. When you get to the yoga of one taste, sow the seeds of the welfare of beings. Even though you have no considerations for yourself, set up interdependent connections despite their unreality. So continue to work with the phenomenal world despite its emptiness. The exalted Yongonpa teaches that we must let go of any grasping no matter what arises or appears. The 5 senses arising with their objects are unimpeded radiance. What is born from not grasping at objects is the unborn basic state. Attachment to appearances may be unceasing, but reverse it. Meditate naturally settled. Wait a second here. Attachment to appearances may be unceasing. Okay. I would have thought that was like a long time ago, but empty appearances arising free from the intellect is the path of natural expressions. Do not see appearances as problems. Let go of clinging. There will come a time when you will arrive in the valley of one taste meditation. The valley. That's a happy valley. That's a nice valley to visit. Attachment to appearances may be unceasing. We should be aware of all those instructions. By practicing in that way, the stains of experience will be purified. Path realizations and the natural abiding state will mix, and the realization of non-meditation, without meditative equipoise and post-meditative attainment, mindfulness or distraction, will dawn. Complete unification. Well, not fully complete, but pretty close. The yoga of non-meditation has 3 sections, beginning with the divisions. Let's just do the meaning briefly. In the general presentations, non-meditation is so designated because it means there are no entities that are objects of meditation upon which to focus, or because it means that objects of meditation have no nature. The Kala Chakra and Elizabeth Ann's commentaries and Guhya Samaja Tantra say, since there are no entities, there is no meditation. Meditating is not meditation. Did I read that right? Meditation is not meditation. Since entities are devoid of entityness, meditation is unobservable. Similar to Sarha saying meditation is continuous. Non-meditation also means the absence of the duality of an object of meditation and a meditator. As the great Brahman states, Kyema, don't say suchness free from any nature exists in meditation. If you conceive of an object of meditation and a meditator as a duality, the mind, grasping dualism, rejects its bodhicitta, That's an interesting use of the term bodhicitta here. For those reasons, some assert those two modes to be the meaning of the yoga of non-meditation. They are wrong. If the former were the case, the yoga of freedom from elaborations onwards would be the yoga of non-meditation. If the latter were the case, the phase of one taste would also be the yoga of non-meditation. What are the two modes? Let's see, the two modes don't say suchness free from any nature exists in meditation. If you can, is one mode, I guess. If you conceive of an object of meditation and a meditator as a duality, the mind grasping dualism rejects its bodhicitta. So two mistakes. Saying suchness free from any nature exists in meditation is the former case. The yoga of freedom from elaborations onward would be the yoga of non-meditation. And if the latter were the case, where you conceive of an object of meditation, meditator as a duality, and the mind grasping dualism thereby rejects its bodhicitta, the phase of one taste would also be the yoga of non-meditation, because there's still a division, I guess, between meditation and meditator. We may then ask, what is it? During one taste, there is a subtle mental state with an object of meditation and a meditator, okay? When that is purified and there is only realization without meditative equipoise and meditative attainment, without mindfulness or non-mindfulness, since you are free from any effort in meditation, that is called non-meditation. Saraha explains, realized ones have neither an object of meditation nor a meditator. Just as space cannot observe space, emptiness does not meditate on emptiness. The non-dual mind is like water mixed with milk, continuous great bliss, in which diversities are of one taste. The exalted Yong observes, when the yoga of non-meditation arises, the essence of awareness is devoid of support. Yogins and yoginis have nothing to meditate upon. There is no meditator either. All is openness. So let's end there for tonight, and then we'll go through the three levels of non-meditation, and then there's a little conclusion to the four yogas in detail, how they are compared to the paths and the bhumis, and then a colophon, and then we are complete, and then we dispel the darkness of ignorance. Excited to get to that one. Thank you, everyone. Great to see you. Have a wonderful week and a great weekend. It's a big weekend, right? I can't remember what it's about, but something important, right?
I get to spend it with Galen Ferguson all 3 days.
No way! Spend it
Wow,
wisely. Wow. That's a great way to spend your weekend. Money well spent. Time well spent. Give him our regards, right? From everyone here. Derek? Anyone else? Giving Galen your regards? Rob, Sue, Mary Beth, Barbara,
Tell him Sue
Cynthia.
says hi.
Okay, remember all of those names.
Yeah.
And see if ask him if he has any advice for us, coming to the end of this book. What does he think? Okay. What is the program on?
It's at Shambhala Berkeley. It's open. Oh, I'm supposed to finish.
What's the topic?
He's using the book. The Path is the Goal. It's an open. It's not a restricted program.
Yeah, so the topic
I'm
is
working hard to finish
Vipassana.
the book.
Okay, the topic is Vipassana then. The path is the goal? Okay, who knows? Anyway, give my fond regards. Anyone else? Big plans for the weekend that you can remember?
Mingyu Rinpoche in Toronto.
Oh, wow, what a feast. You saw him in KTD. How was that?
How did you know that?
You told me.
Did I?
Yeah, no, I'm
Oh, anyway,
psyched.
I'm having, yeah, you have super cognitive abilities. Yeah, I'm having a month of feasting. So
Cool. Have a great time.
thank you.
Mingarimshe, Toronto. What is the topic there?
Uh, nature of mind.
Same old.
Same old Mahamudra, nature of mind.
But
I'm
Yeah,
repeating some levels.
can't get enough. Good for you. Okay, everyone. Well, have a great weekend. Thank you very
Thank
much. Let's
you.
dedicate
one
with this.
thing,
Oh, sorry. What happened?
the seventh way to ascertain freedom from elaborations is have an MRI.
Have an MRI this weekend. Okay. I hope that goes well.
I couldn't help that, silliness feeling. I'm sorry.
Blending the experiences. By this merit may all the same conditions may it defeat the enemy wrongdoing from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara may I free all beings. By the confidence of the golden sun of the great east, may the lotus garden of the Rigdon's wisdom bloom. May the dark ignorance of sentient beings be dispelled. May all beings enjoy profound, brilliant glory. Thank you, everyone. Be well.